questions and so forth and so on. First thing we're going to be using is thermal imaging. So you should be able to see me in here, right? Red, orange, and yellow guy. So this is going to work again. So there's only one gentleman here. I'm the hottest thing in the video right now. So yeah, it does work. But what are we looking for in here? What do you think?
Heat signatures.
Not heat.
No,
Cold. Right, good job. So, right. I'm all excited when somebody gives me the right answer almost right away. So, cold spots. It's the old adage that we're looking, the cold spots, that's what ghosts are. So, blue and black are what we're looking for to either take shape or to start moving on their own. When I say take shape, it's normally going to be in the form of a person or a face or anything of that nature. We have seen heat spots that I can't explain also, but most of the time when I do find something on this camera, it is usually a very significant cold spot. The cool thing about the video that you're going to get back is that there's a blue dot that's bouncing around the frame right now. That blue dot tells you exactly where the coldest spot is in the frame at that particular moment. So that way we know exactly how cold the cold spot was, and I normally look for 15 to 20 degree temperature differences. It does give you the temperature on ambient temperature and the cold spot. So that way we can kind of take a look. Tonight is about 66, 67 degrees, so we're going to be looking at around 51 to 52 degrees or lower. So that's kind of the mentality that we're going to keep around this guy. So, Bill, I'm going to hand you all of the highest technology we have.
4.
Oh, that's actually good for this.
That was back there.
So that's actually a pretty decent.
3.3 right here. 3.4.
That's a decent.
3.7. Oh. 4.0. Ooh.
For this location, that's actually pretty decent.
4.1.
So I'm going to have you move just to make sure it's not going to be coming from a building or anything like that. So.
4.0.
This is like ADHD. It's like I can't hear this and listen
Don't
to
go too
everything.
far. We're going to stop here. That's
Do
actually
we
a
have
good
the same
thing.
thing? Yes, we do.
Now it dropped.
Now it dropped?
Yep.
What's it down to?
1.7.
Okay, up to 1.1 is natural from the Earth. So that's why we start at 2.5
Oh,
to
now
make
it's
sure.
going back up again.
Okay, we're going to keep an eye on it.
Are
Let's
you a
have you guys
brown-
roll down here a little
Are
bit.
you a brown cow?
Yeah. Okay.
So,
3.5.
do you have any letters showing up at all yet? No. Okay, so we're going to turn up the sensitivity again. This is like a low EMF ground, so we want almost every type of signal, any kind of electrical spike to actually pop up. The specific initials I want you looking for consecutively would be the letters RI. So we'll see how much of this. See the I, but it's not consecutive with an R in front of it. So I want the R in front of it specifically. So we're going to see how this goes. Welcome to Philadelphia Alley. This particular location, this is kind of a staple for every ghost tour in Charleston. Well, they're not synced up.
No, I heard good morning.
Yeah, your two devices are not synced. She won't hear the same things that you're hearing.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
If I migrated toward her thinking we could compete with each other.
No, there's a reason why, like the earbuds that you have, and I say most people use just one, is because they like to share the other one so somebody else can help them. So that's because that job is so difficult.
It is.
It's not easy to do.
I say as soon as we entered, it said Europe.
3.8. 9. 3.9.
We're going to stick to 4.1 as being the low point at this point, because I have 3.4 and 4.1. So give me anything above 4.1 at this point. But I am interested in the fact that you heard Europe.
Yeah, because I know some history about this island.
I'm getting a lot of letters.
What letters do you have?
I, F, J, M, O.
Okay, looks like a prescription. So again, only let me know if you get RI, and then before we leave the space, we'll take a look at them as a whole.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We ready for the history of the location? All right. Philadelphia Alley. So, what do you think you know about this place? Where
I think it was a
Europe?
dueling alley.
It was Dueler's Alley. But it's interesting that you're interested in the word Europe.
Yeah.
Because there's not a whole lot of European history down here, especially with this story.
Like European dueling.
No. So, this used to be called Dueler's Alley, as Cynthia's already mentioned. We all tell the story of one duel because we can actually prove that it happened. However, we're ghost hunting. You're going to not get the campfire with marshmallow story with me. You're going to get the details. So that's why we're going to go through this with a little bit of thorough detail. Now, Doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. There's our first RI that we would be looking for. Sounds like it's a little too sensitive. We're going to scale it back a little bit because it seems like you're getting a lot.
I've got a ton of letters.
Yeah. So he moves down here from Rhode Island because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney that's helping her out with all of this cash flow, and the attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money. The doctor's full name, by the way, is Joseph Brown Ladd. His name does show up here quite a bit. So, to prove that he's not after Amanda's money, he moves to Charleston. And as he's coming into town, there was a coachman that was bringing him in that set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to the doctor's stay in Charleston. Somebody was walking by. His name was Ralph Isaacs, and I stopped there because he had the same initials as where the doctor came from. RI shows up here a lot. Two different people. We need to know which the secondary clue is so we know who it belongs to. However, Ralph tells the doctor, you don't want to stay here, man. I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. And I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can stay with them and rent a room. You'll be good to go. Dr. Ladd takes him up on the offer, and the two become friends. So, the longer the doctor's here in Charleston, the more money he's making. He's proving his point that he's not after Amanda's
I got
money.
Don't Leave Me in a song.
Okay, I'll write that one down. He's proving his point, right? So, okay.
And one more thing, when you start talking about money, it's a thing.
Perfect. Take I lost track of where that. Oh, he's proving his point that he wasn't after Amanda's money, right? So he's making his own cash, and Amanda gets wind that he's making his own money, so she's moving down soon so they can actually be married. Dr. Ladd becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. We're going to get into the whistling haunting part of this in just a minute, but again, every haunted city you're ever going to visit in the future has a cliched whistling ghost. I'm just going to put that out there right now. Now, Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. That's just the way the hierarchy went. Coming and Don't Leave Me Now. Got it. They go see Richard III, and they're arguing over the new actress that was in town after the play as they're walking home. Dr. Ladd thought that the actress was fantastic. She was new in town, and they'd never seen her before, but Ralph didn't think so. So they start arguing. And then Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. So it gets really ugly. They go their separate ways. You've already figured out by now that Ralph knows people around town because he referred the doctor to somewhere to live. He has friends at the newspaper, and he puts an ad in the paper. He put an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a disgrace to society kind of mentality. Dr. Ladd sees the ad. Yeah, it wasn't a Facebook post. So Dr. Ladd sees the ad but rebuttals with, let's go to Jeweler's Alley. We're going to settle this. So they came down, they took their 10 paces, they turned, the doctor pointed his gun in the air and shot. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to prove the point that he had the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened at a duel, by the way. But Ralph has his one shot, and he puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. Dr. Ladd drops to the ground. His friends pick him up. They carry him home, and he dies 10 days later or 4 days later, depending on which version of the story you're reading, at 59 Church Street. He also refused medical treatment. You got to remember this guy's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed this bullet out himself. So, the campfire part of the story is that as you walk through here, you can hear the whistles from the doctor. The interesting thing about us being in here, now we're not going to walk all the way through because I've actually been booted out of the other side, and I'm going to get to that in just a minute because that's the fun part of the story. Everybody wants to know how Nick got in trouble, but we actually, with our spirit boxes, do get the word whistle quite a bit while we're here, or we'll get parts of songs with just whistling in it. Think of the Guns N' Roses song Patience with all the whistling. Think of Maroon 5 Moves Like Jagger. You know, things with just a whistle. So we could have probably already been getting clues to this story back at my garage. I call that bleed over. We don't have to be always in the direct space for something to be occurring. You're going to hear me use that term a lot, bleed over. So even if you're not hearing anything that's like the number 59 or Brown, because that was part of the doctor's name, or anything super specific.
I heard
You did hear Patience? So, but again, more specific clues. You're going to hear me say a lot. Like, that's pretty broad. Like, don't leave me now. Yeah, that's creepy when we're in a, kind of a weird alley with nobody else here. But I would want something a little bit more specific to try to verify that it was actually Dr. Ladd trying to speak to us. So again, these broad terms that you guys are giving me, Europe is interesting only because of who was on my tour last night. I had a gentleman from Germany on my tour last night, and the minute I handed him the word list, it actually said European. So again, it was a very interesting night with that whole group. So the other part of this is, as you walk through here, they say you can hear the gunshots. I don't have any proof of gunshots. I do have whistling that I have on your guys' regular audio that I can't debunk, because I used to take you guys all the way through. I want you to keep in mind if you're going to try this whole whistling bit on your own and you're going to walk through the whole alley without a tour guide, because again, we're not allowed to take you all the way through, keep in mind every local knows the story. So anybody walking up and down, Cumberland or Queen is going to throw a whistle down the alley. And normally on a non-windy day, it is super quiet down here, and it's like that even on a busy Saturday afternoon. Don't know why, but that's kind of the eeriness of the whole alley. Now, I told you I've been booted out of here. Here's the fun part. This alley didn't come all the way through. It was cut off on this side, on the Cumberland Street side, because this is where they kept some of the livestock for the city of Charlestown. When I say Charlestown, that was obviously the walled city, so we're going way back. It was called Cow Alley back in those days. But what does that mean is that those bricks on the other side are old. They are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There is a brick at the end of this alley with a full handprint from a slave child and fingerprint swipes at the end. And when I used to go all the way through here, I would always point it out because you guys are going to find out really fast I'm all about actual history. We all need to see it regardless of the diversity in my group because we need to show how far we come away from slavery. However, that kid, I don't actually take you to cemeteries. And the reason being is because people don't hang out near their tombstone and headstones. It's the same thing with that brick. That kid's not staring at that brick in the afterlife. That's the last place he's going to be. However, November 26th of 2020, my entire group of 10 decided they're going to huddle around that brick and wait for something to happen on a spirit box or EMF or something. I'm trying to scoot them along because it's outside the dining room window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. So, I was out of bounds because it is residential down there, and I was still new at this. So the guy came out screaming. He was not happy with me. My daughter thought it was great. His dad's getting yelled at, and we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I didn't have a tour that night because I worked in retail for over 20 years. Never working another Thanksgiving ever. The next day after that, yes, the date's irrelevant, was November 28th of 2020. I get a phone call asking me to go down halfway, which is what we're allowed to do, or to reroute my group. I decided it wasn't fair for my group of 10 to try to work around 20 to 60 people of other tours. So I decided I'm just going to reroute, and I'll tell my group what's going to happen at the next space. And it's a space where I didn't even believe in the ghost story in that location. So what I told them was we were going to be investigating piracy. What I didn't tell them was who. Somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box before we left. I did not tell them. I see it. I did not tell them we were going to be investigating the famous female pirate Anne Bonny. So I was kind of like, oh shit, maybe something's actually going to happen there. We get up there, I told what little bit I did know about piracy, because I was still investigating the space more, and somebody else hears the number 300, and I don't know what that means until I'm doing the research the next day. We were there on November 28th of 2020, and Bonnie's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300th anniversary of her pirate trial. So I keep taking you guys back up there, and as I will tell you, it was once my big finale of telling you this big long pirate tale in hopes that we're going to find more. I still tell that story, and we're going to go through it, but what I'm going to tell you about the space is it's literally a hit or miss location based on what type of location that it is. You're kind of on a ghost hunting 101 crash course. This is what I call an intelligent ghost, where we can just kind of stir things up by talking about Dr. Ladd and the whistling, ghost kind of thing. So that way we can see if anything's going to occur while we're standing here talking, or at least while I'm standing here talking. Lisa's like, you never shut up, do you? So, so we are going to go up and 4.4. What were the other odd phrases that I said I was going to write down?
Sale was a good one.
I don't have to write yours down. Yours is doing it for me.
Please don't go. Don't leave me.
Don't leave me. And then you had a 4.4 was your highest?
Yeah, that I've seen.
Actually, like I said, those are actually pretty decent readings for this location. So, to kind of further explain Lisa's device, if you were to actually put that behind your television, it would read about 40 to 60 milliamps. So that's safe environment still. If you were to stand next to your running microwave, 150 to 170. The highest I've ever seen that device go has been 214 milliamps. And part of the reason why we're not going to that first, remember the major parking lot that we went to at the beginning?
Sorry. They were playing an 80s song.
You remember the Pinky Mansion site?
That's where I'm in my head.
Well, that's also where I'm going to retire that one. So part of the reason why I decided to start things so early, the lot was so unwelcoming these past few weeks with very leave us alone. You need to walk away. My devices were stopping to work. Headaches were going on there. And that was back in February. So I mean, it got worse. So,
Did it really?
Over the past 6 weeks, it's been very unwelcome. Where like even my
Yeah,
regular.
I wondered why we started up on the parking deck. I
Yeah.
get it now.
So.
What'd you say?
She just sang the song you just did.
Oh. I put both of them in so I can listen intently.
The gate behind me before we leave the space. This is in the event there was a loser to a duel. Remember that the alley didn't go all the way through. This was a shortcut to get to St. Philip's Cemetery. Otherwise, they'd have to walk all the way down to Queen Street and go out and around the corner to be able to go drop the body so they could go celebrate the winner of the duel.
It says wait till the death date.
We're past the death date. The death date for Dr. Ladd was November 2nd. It's very interesting that today is the 8th, and we're getting that phrase now. Wait for the death date. I'll write that one down along the way, because that might have a different meaning here. I don't know Ralph Isaac's death date off the top of my head, to be honest with you. Alright, let's go learn about some crazy pirates. If you want to continue filming, by all means do so. And then we will kind of see what's going on up around the corner. We're going to stay out of the other tour's way in the event. It's a very popular tour stop. So again, there's like 15 stories on that corner. We're just going to find our corner and we're going to stay out of their way. And then we'll investigate that space and I'll let you guys spread out a little bit so you can use your devices.
So what happens with this? We start over? Or?
We do. So I'm going to take a quick look at it. I see a bunch of bullshit, more prescription letters. You get it. Turn it counterclockwise up here until it clicks and then back to 9 o'clock. Whenever you get a full list and you can't make anything out of it.
Can I just look at it? Because I'm like excited about this one. I've seen it enough. Where are you guys from? Are you all seeing? Yeah, it's our birthday. Mother and daughter. Oh, happy birthday! Both of your birthdays?
Well, I'm on the 10th, she's on the 11th.
Aw. That's cool.
The most amazing. I just woke up. That was Spanish.
See this church right here? No, we're going to the parking lot. See that church right there? All right, now watch your reading because you might get some strange shit. Look at the crosses ahead. There's stuff in that building.
Very hot in
Brick
here.
wall, you might get something.
Oh, Jesus. I just heard Jesus.
You're near the church. It happens all the time.
Okay.
And there's St.
I
Philip's.
heard it 3 times walking down.
Yeah, we get a lot of religious terms a lot. Specifically in this location. We're going to be near St. Michael's Church later on. So again, I haven't really seen that out of the past week that I've been going there, but I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing it over there too. I will tell you that as we were leaving this location last night, the phrase "visit" and then Michael showed up, and we were on our way towards St. Michael's.
Oh my gosh.
So, again, very interesting. So, by the way, we are at a 100% full moon tonight. So everybody knows. It was
100%
actually
what?
full moon.
Oh.
So it was actually this morning, but it's still considered to be 100%.
I watched the eclipse, the whole entire thing, from 4 o'clock in the morning to 5:15.
How cool was it?
It was
Pretty red. It was red, wasn't it?
I was driving. Not really. It just slowly got
Resentment.
a little bit, but it slowly got.
I heard
like,
resentment.
So welcome to the Powder Magazine. So this building behind me, these are not crosses on the building, by the way. Those are earthquake bolts. If you're not familiar with earthquake bolts, they're basically turnbuckles. So in the event that we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886, which we haven't, that was a big thing you probably heard on another tour.
I heard good that impact.
You can turn those turnbuckles, and it's supposed to tighten the building back up so that way it doesn't incur any further damage. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. The only reason I bring these ones up specifically is because that's the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in, because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713, which leads us to exactly why we're here. This building is what I call a familiar to Anne Bonny, because this building was being constructed at the same time that she actually came to Charleston to start her new life. So again, we don't have any buildings this old, so that's exactly why we're here. It's exactly why it's a hit or miss also. There's a handful of them, but not many. Let's get into the story because there's a lot of details here. So, young lady moves, you gotta follow me on this one too, there's a lot of twists. Young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormack. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress turns out to be Anne's mother. Is everybody with me so far?
No, that doesn't make any sense.
Anne moves here with her dad and his mistress. The mistress is her mother.
So she didn't know the mistress was her mother?
She did.
So they ran away
From his angry
from
wife.
his wife. Romantic.
Okay, I'm
Got
with
it
you
now?
now.
It says
Okay.
romantic.
Oh, imagine that.
Yeah.
So, they land in Georgetown. So, well, by the way, how mad was that angry wife that they had to leave Ireland to come here? So,
I don't know what you want.
John is
John
good.
14. John.
So, they land in Georgetown and Dad bought a plantation. Mom died pretty quickly, so that means he has to send young Anne down here to be able to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat. Anne back home in Ireland is said to be somewhat of a badass. They say she killed one of her servants when she was only 7, 8, 9 years old. Remember, this is pirate lore. So again, trying to find exact details can be very difficult. She killed that servant with a knife to the belly. So again, keep that mentality of this young lady as we kind of go through this. Remind me to write down John, by the way. Now, fast forward, this building's done in 1713. Pirates are coming through Charleston in 1715. Anne is stoked. Why? Because she's going to fall in love pretty quickly, so that way she can earn her freedom just like a man. It's a man's world at this point. Guy number one. Yes, I said number one because there's a handful. We're going to go through them. First guy is James Bonny. You already see where this one's going, right? Because we've already mentioned her full married name. Dad didn't approve. He's a filthy pirate. They ran away to Jamaica. They got married, and Anne Cormack became Anne Bonny, the famous female pirate. This guy is not the Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. This guy turns out to be a privateer. He's a spy for the British. This is not who she wants. He's a coward. A few years later, she falls in love again. His name is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. Now, Calico Jack is literally the person that they based the Captain Jack Sparrow character off of. So yes, this is the Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. He has his own ship. Can't put a girl on a pirate crew because Anne wants to be part of it. So why can't you put a girl on a pirate ship? Does anybody know why?
It's bad luck.
Right, it's bad luck. So he makes a deal with her. Most people have much dirtier thoughts. So thanks for keeping it family friendly. So it actually showed up last night. One girl just screamed out, "Rapist!" I'm like, really?
In a dark alley?
Yeah, just right on. But at any rate, so he makes a deal with her that if she dressed like the part of the crew and looks like the crew, then she can be on the ship, but she was going to be a female in his quarters. She was okay with this, bless you, because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland, like a boy apprentice, to keep her away from his angry wife.
Sneeze. I was saying sneeze.
Oh, so somebody heard you sneeze.
Wow.
I'm waiting for bless you to come out of yours.
Yeah.
No way.
She has the one that's recording. We'll verify it later. So, being a female in his quarters, let's put two and two together. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew.
Pirate dude.
Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl. So he drops her off in Cuba. It says no woman.
Yeah.
Yours said no woman? Or yours said no woman?
No.
Yes, John and no woman. Got it. Puts her in Cuba. These are friends of mine. Have the baby here. Come back later. We'll figure it out later. So she has a baby, but returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to the child. No amount of research I can do can bring it up. But part of the story that you need to know is that she came back dressed like a female. This made Jack angry. And basically, she wanted to make him even more mad, and he captured another pirate crew, and they're down below deck. She's going to go flirting with that pirate crew, so that way she can make Jack even more mad. Guy number 3, in case you lost track. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack captured. This young lady's name is Mary Reed, just like you read a book. So, we went by Mark Reed to become a pirate, in case the name Mark decides they want to show up here. Her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers, we're not going to really know for sure, but the British find out where they are. They send a fleet of ships to come take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks. Probably because they don't know how to use the cannon jet. They haven't been pirates for very long. They're obviously not going to be able to take on a whole fleet of ships with 2 flintlocks. So, as they're being arrested, she looks at her captain, her beau, Calico Jack, and she says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up here a lot, by the way. So, they're arrested, and the judge, who wants to see the 2 men that fought back so violently, has already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates that wouldn't fight. So, Anne and Mary go in front, November 28th, not the 29th. November 28th, they go in front and reveal their gender to the judge in hopes to save themselves. And he doesn't give a shit that they're female. They're still pirates. So he's still going to hang them. We plead our belly with the last thing they screamed out. Because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. So he sends them both back to jail and delays the hanging after the pregnancies are gone. So they go back to jail, but Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because we don't really know about Mary. And she has 4 kids, dies at the age of 84. Yes, very abrupt. Mary Reed dies a year later, 1721, from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imagination on that one. I'm sure it's nasty and gross. Most books will say that it was fever, but I'm going to call BS on that one. It's probably something much, much worse than that. So, we are going to spread out in this location. We got a handful of cars in here still, so it's kind of odd because we didn't have a single car in here last night.
Ladies on film.
We do get a lot of genderized phrases around here. So far you've heard no woman.
Yeah, no women.
Genderized on the film.
Ladies on film.
Ladies on the film. John. I got it right down. So,
Committed a wrong.
what was it?
Committed a wrong.
Committed a wrong. Committed is always good too. So let's spread out around here. Did you clear your slate to get a fresh thing going on over there?
Saved my life.
I gotta show you how to use that motion sensor. I don't know how well it's gonna do. There's a lot of things blowing around here.
All right.
What year is that?
So you need that little white button on the right hand side.
He had a little blip.
What do you got? Well, that's a yes, no question. Okay, what else is there? The two things that I left out of this location or out of the story is the name of her parents. If you wanted to ask what her parents' names were. I also left out the name of Calico Jack's or John's ship. So you can ask either one of those, and we commonly get those answers. Clifford is not one of those answers. Where'd the light go? Did you lose her? Where did she go?
So Doreen,
Uh-oh, what's this name?
Click it. Nope.
No.
It's motion.
No?
It's definitely not coming from wind or you.
Oh my god.
And show us your hair color. You know how this box works. Show us your hair color. Or when you feel like it, that works too. You also have to remember that this woman's from the 1700s. She doesn't know the word device. She's not going to know EMF. That's why I say use the box. You know, a box is very basic. And can you show us your hair color? Or you can tell us. You've done that in the past too.
And can you just touch the box?
Lisa.
It said if I could find you.
Lisa.
You have anything pop up?
Lisa. Lisa.
It said looking for you.
We're right here, Ann. She's looking for me.
Closer.
You can come
I heard
closer.
bless you. It just
Well, we
sounded
heard
like
sneeze
someone.
and then you
Yeah.
had a question. I'm gonna get Lori those questions.
Oh. Ask her a question, Lisa.
What color is your hair, Ann? What color is your hair? Tell me what color your hair is.
Like brown eyes.
No, it said hair, not eyes.
Well, I'm just telling you what it said. I'm not saying that. Brown eyes.
You got anything else crazy?
No, stand what you said. He was asking like, what color is your hair, and then I just heard brown eyes. So
Well, we're still near, like, Philadelphia Alley. I told you we'd get Leo.
yeah.
Dr. Joseph Brown Flag. So, again.
Did the numbers change?
We don't get a whole lot of EMF in this area, and when we do, it's just because somebody got too close to the electrical poles.
got a lot of reception over there.
Did you?
You see anything over there?
No. I haven't seen anything. Over by the hedge store?
Like over by that one bush, I got a lot of noise.
Which, show me your bush.
Like right back here. Big impact.
Washington Park.
I wore the wrong shoes.
It's tough.
Yes.
Good thing I don't take you down to cobblestones anymore.
Oh, God.
I had a couple of things. I don't know if they have anything to relate with it.
We're gonna find out.
I heard, I'm in the window. I heard police close off.
Hang on. You're on the right page. You're going too fast.
You remembered all these?
In the window. That's a good one. I like that. Close
Oh,
off.
did you hear
Yeah.
something
Police.
on the way?
What else?
Sorry. What?
She's going through what she
127.
heard on the way.
Yeah, I got stuff.
A lot of numbers I heard, but they was coming up really fast.
Okay.
And I had four, and they all really stuck out.
127 and then 4.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You're up.
Oh, I just got killed me over by the cemetery. And then security system when we walked in here.
You really heard kill me?
Yeah. Right when we were turning past the cemetery.
When we were walking up towards the church, I got terrified.
We had a therapist show up the other day. That's basically like incense burner that they used.
Okay.
So that showed up near St. Philip's last night. And then we have St. Michael. And that is St. Michael's Church. Right there. So that's exactly where I got my group last night. And this is exactly where we were headed when we had St. Michael show up. So that was pretty cool stuff. Any crazy letters that I need to know about? No. All right. So we are here because of the bus behind me. And this is the new location, so everybody knows. So kind of bear with me with the slower bit of history here. I guess I'll start off with when I came into this space, I knew like a lot of ghost tours started here, and I'm like, let's just kind of see what happens. There was a lot of different monuments. I don't know who we're going to actually connect with, and we ended up connecting with this guy the very first night. This is Henry Timrod. We had the name Henry show up and the year of his birth. That's how I found out why we keep coming here. And then the consecutive nights after that, we had more things about him specifically. The name Tim has been showing up here a lot. His last name is Timrod, spelled with T-I-M-R-O-D.
It says wrongfully accused.
No, not necessarily. Yeah, we're not talking crimes or any kind of crime and punishment here. This is a very interesting story, though, of what I've been reading about in the past few days as I've been learning more about. So he was a poet, and he was actually called the laureate of the Confederacy. Reason being is because he did join the Confederate Army, but they kicked him out because he was too ill to fight. They basically already knew that he was a writer, so they sent him home to go be a writer at home and be the voice of the Confederacy. So most of his poetry that I've been reading these past few days is all about war. So it's very interesting to read some of the patriotic things that he was writing about. But his story is more interesting because he is actually not said to be haunted in this location. He's said to haunt the Charleston Library Society. So, and that is on...
Poet.
Right.
You don't say that.
The reason why is after he was kicked out of the Army, he went to go visit his friend Paul. And his friend Paul was in Columbia. And he was actually allowing him to use his cottage in Columbia. And as he was writing his last words, which his last words were, "Beholder of brief mortality," meaning somebody with a short lifespan. He coughed because he had tuberculosis, and he coughed on the page, and a blood splatter landed on the book, and it looks just like a man writing. I'm going to show you this particular blood splatter because this book is actually at the Charleston Library Society, and they call it the Blood Book. They only show it one time a year. Guess what day that is?
Halloween.
Halloween. Exactly. So, what I've also been doing, by the way, this is the blood splatter, as you can see.
Oh,
You can see how it looks like a man writing. So, the blood book is pretty famous. But what I've been doing to try to stir up more activity about this young man, and when I say young man, he died at the age of 38. So, he died in 1867. It's a very sad story, and he lived a very harsh life. Now, I'm going to give you a few questions that we can ask while we're going to explore this location, but what I've been doing to stir this up is I read the last stanza of his poem called Charleston, and it kind of tells you a little bit about like how his thought process was. So let me actually get to that. And that's just been kind of what's been stirring things up since I started doing this. I think it was the third night. I was like, this actually is working. We're going to continue doing it. We know not. In the temple of the fates, God has inscribed her doom, and all untroubled in her faith she waits, the triumph or the tomb. Basically, he's stating that South Carolina and the city of Charleston is waiting for the Civil War to be over, so that way we can see what the fate of the city will be. This was written in 1862, right in the middle of the Civil War. So, very interesting piece. Two things that we've been finding most lately is the name of his son, who died as an infant. We've also been finding the name of his wife, which he actually named a poem after. So that is two things that we've been finding very specifically so far. Other things that I told you about would have been the birth year, 1829, and the death date of 1867. It's been under speculation. Some websites and books have been telling me 67. Other books and websites are telling me 68. So again, I will discern based on once I narrow it down a little bit further, but that first night we actually had 1829 show up specifically. Like somebody heard 1829, and then we heard Henry. Again, can't make this shit up. That's exactly that. So, we are going to spread out a little bit. Be mindful of the other tour that's actually located in front of you. So we are not going to be filming them, so kind of keep that in the back of your mind. But we are going to explore the space a little bit.
Do I turn this button back on, or just leave it the way it is?
So they leave. Let's not disrupt them, so that thing makes them run. So let's just kind of see if we do it. But I also want you to keep in mind, Mr. Box is a slow down. Like, if you were to ask what color the big red barn and you heard Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I don't need Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer because he's red. Not even really square.
I got 5.8 over
Oh,
here.
did you? Let me come
That was pretty high. Wow. Like right over here. See, 3.9. Hold on. That was weird.
He's a,
of Andrew Jackson.
he's on the other side of that.
Ooh, right here, Bill. Bill. Oh wow.
It says mother
Put
of
it on
Andrew
Lisa, though.
Jackson.
You need to get on Lisa too. Yeah. Oh,
Andrew Jackson.
Andrew Jackson.
Mother of Andrew Jackson.
Mother of Andrew. Oh. Oh wow. Lisa, you're getting.
6.0. 5.7.
Oh my gosh. You're getting. You got
Mother.
something.
I am a mother. Are you a mother? Elizabeth Hutchinson Jackson. The mother of Andrew Jackson.
That was 6.0. That was a big one.
Are you here, Elizabeth? Three point five.
Alright. What do you got going on up here?
6.0.
6?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. It was in front of here, but she asked, she was reading it, and then it went off. And she said mother of, and then it went up to 6.
Do you have the letters MV in this location? I got that here the other night. I'd be curious to see if it shows up again, so just let me know. Speed. Yeah, MV. So like Michael Victor. Anything crazy going with your camera, Bill?
Not that I see now.
I don't always follow up with the camera in real time because that's all about the next day.
Mm-hmm.
But she had a pretty big thing right in front of that when she was reading it, and then off to 6.
Any other colors that you can determine with definitive motion?
Yellow and some blue.
Were you able to verify it wasn't from you?
No.
Standing there, right?
Does Jamie mean anything?
Not that I know of.
Meredith?
You got anything else?
Actively 104.
That's Ridge Road.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Go back and stand in front of that and see the building again. Right there, right in front of there.
Go right there, 5.5.
It is?
Oh, it just went away.
So if it was staying steady, there's an electrical line around it somewhere. But obviously if it went up to 5.5 and then it went away, I'm gonna definitely take the 5.5. Just because that is, I don't know this space well enough yet to say that this is the highest we've ever done.
Well, it went up to, what
We're
was
up to
it,
6.
And I have seen a 15 in here.
Mm.
Oh, Lisa's getting flickering again.
No, do I hit the button
I
when
would,
it's doing
just to
that?
verify it. And it's still flickering, so something's moving around you and it's definitively blue.
Put it on Lisa. Put it on Lisa. She's got a lot of movement. What's the number?
It doesn't matter.
Oh, it's more
They don't
the-
work together.
Oh,
Two separate things. She has no numbers,
okay.
but that doesn't mean anything. Can you show us another color? We're getting closer to it. Maybe go red. Somebody to introduce.
What's your name?
I was doing the Estes method, and I said, "What's your name?" And she said, "Evans."
Wow. Look at that, Lisa. Where's the door?
Color red. Be closer to it.
It's closer.
Doreen. Doreen.
I don't think she can hear
Can't hear you.
anything.
Got both your
I
Yeah.
know. I'm trying to get her to see that. Golly, Lisa.
See if they're gonna follow you or not. You can follow us.
Follow us?
Oh my gosh.
Come on, Lisa. Doreen. Look at her thing.
What?
Look at her thing.
Yeah, do you see anything over here? Because they're like super chatty. Together. Personal. You getting a lot here?
No, over there.
Did you cut it like more than 5 feet away from where we originally started getting it? Like that says something. Like somebody's following, like showing you, like I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here.
Today.
That was.
I don't know what this word is.
What is it?
Palatine or palatine?
Valentine?
Palatine.
That's a religious term. Like that's a like part of the hierarchy, of, like the clergy of a church. I think. I could be wrong.
What do we have a name? Do you have a name? What's your name?
Tomorrow morning.
Can you give it to us tomorrow?
They won't be here tomorrow. I will be.
Is it? What's that?
I said maybe we'll hear it tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, you'll hear it tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Is it William?
If your name's William, can you touch that box?
Where'd you guys get the name William
Isn't it William? Who's that
from?
over-
Henry.
I thought that was
Evans,
William.
sweetheart.
No.
If
I
your
didn't know if
name
somebody
is-
heard William somewhere.
No, we heard Evans. If your name is Evans, can you touch that box?
I think they went.
The reason why I was like, where did you get William from is because that was his son's name, but he called him Willie.
We just put
Try to
that
listen with me.
Williams.
It is
The one
hard.
that get the headaches on me earlier. There's that blue again. Somebody's following you, right? Did you make
Oh, I
friends
got
with
book.
Jackson's mom?
Book
Did you get book?
and documents, yeah.
We had the word book here last night too.
Lisa, ask a question. Lisa, it's with you.
We want to see you get closer to that. Touch the metal stick on there. It'll go red. Show us the color red.
This is like.
Are you shy?
Aw. We're friendly.
Henry, what is your son's name?
They're around, but they're unsure.
Yeah.
I feel
That's
like,
what I feel
they
like.
didn't leave.
Yeah, I feel like they're around, but they're unsure.
Well, again, this is a new location.
Did you hear that?
They're not
Get
just
away.
Yeah, I heard get away.
Get away.
So get away.
Get
That's
Mhm.
usually my cue. Let's go to the bench.
Ah!
All right, we're going away.
Alright, so here's what I'm excited about, things I'm going to be looking into. I don't know who Jamie is. That was one of the names given like when we first separated. The date of December 4th was actually heard.
Evaluation.
I will tell you that Henry Timrod's birthday is December 8th. So I'll be not looking, but if the number 8 pops up, that's usually where I kind of make that connection. One of the examples that I gave Victoria when we were talking over there was like, what color is the big red barn? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. I don't need Rudolph the nosed reindeer. I just need the word red out of it. So she has December 4th. So we're going to see if on the recording on your end, if the number 8 shows up or even on your device. Now what I've been noticing is that even to the next location we're going, because we're basically going across the street. Quaker graveyard.
Oh, that's right.
All right, so I like to point out 2 things before we all sit down. So first off, this is what we're going to be using as kind of a reference for names. So that way we can ask any kind of specific names in case something is heard on a spirit box or something pops up on the word list. So Lisa, I'm actually going to put you in charge of like in the event a name shows up because I don't have this list memorized.
Okay.
So
I
try to
got
stick.
Sam.
Damn it, you got me working already.
The Sam? Yeah.
No Sam.
And I got Jeffrey when we was walking from down there.
It's funny because we had Jeffrey here last night.
Really?
I don't know who the hell that is. So we checked the word list, the name list, it's not on there. So I'm gonna have us all sit on this right hand side over here, so that way we're actually close to the actual graves.
Okay. Door on the right
So
side.
yeah, just kind of get on this close bench in case anything pops up. And I'll break out the
Oh my goodness.
back here.
this is a location where we will be asking yes/no questions. It's
Oh.
really the only way to get any kind of answers.
Okay.
So that's another weird anomalous thing for me. I am not used to asking yes/no questions. So I am actually.
How does this work, first of all?
I'm going to be teaching you. So in a nutshell, I guess we'll start off with the new set.
Never seen one.
The dowsing rods, if you're unfamiliar with them, are basically
we
meant.
get Doreen.
Doreen, come on
Doreen, honey, come here for a minute. Come here.
What?
Listen and watch.
Teaching moment. Let's do this.
Jesus again.
Jesus again.
I heard
Rod, as in tin rod or dowsing rod.
Probably
I
the
heard
rod.
it was sounded like a D, like duh, then rod.
Interesting. These were actually meant to try to find water. That's the original purpose of these. They were made of 100% copper, and these ones, this particular set actually has a set of handles. The other set does not. The handles actually allow it to move freely. Now, with it being windy, I'm not really sure how this set's going to be working today. This was the set that just came in today, so this will be the, obviously the new testing set. But in a nutshell, when we're getting them and we start off with them, you want to hold them anywhere between, I'd say, 6 to 10 inches apart and kind of release them. And technically, any EMF in the air will actually move them to either open all the way up or to cross. So you hear me say oftentimes, because I'll be doing a lot of the questions and I'll get the questions from you guys, but I will be the person communicating because obviously I'm a familiar face. We're not here to disrespect. So again, these are Quakers. Again, I'm trying not to piss them off too badly. So the whole point is that if you're a male, open them up. If you're a female, close the rods. So you're going to hear me say open and close, yes, no's, and I'll always give the direction of which way to do that. So basically, the person using them will hold them as straight as they can, as still as they can, and hopefully the wind will not influence them too badly. Because again, this set is really a rotating piece. Like, they will move with you. So kind of keep that in the back of your brain. So who wants to try these first out of this group?
Bill, you want to take a break? I'll hold this.
No, I'm
Do you try it?
the name.
I'll take this. Go ahead.
Yeah, give
So
Bill
those
a
ones go
phone.
to you, and you're going to sit down.
Okay.
Be relaxed. And then the set's going to go over here. So with yours, because they don't have handles on them, you're going to pinch the corner where it bends, and then you're barely going to hold the bottom. So they should, again, work the exact same way, either open or
On
close.
that.
So I haven't done this where there's actually two sets of people doing them, and that
Hey.
looks like the wind is really going to influence that.
Oh, okay. Because we're like, we got excited.
Although both of them weren't moving, only one of them crossed.
Correct. That's what I noticed.
So try to keep them nice and straight. What's the first question we think we want to ask? Think of yes/no answers.
Are you a boy?
If you're a male, open the rods. If you have somebody here and they're a male, open the rods. If you're female, cross the rods. Similar cross going on over here.
Oh, yeah.
Hold them,
Doreen's like, oh, yeah.
Just like me.
Oh,
okay?
We got a female.
Okay, thank you for that. That's definitely not wind action.
no, that wasn't.
Can you point the rod straight at me again? If I normally give that question, it's normally not the person holding them. It's to the spirit that's actually here. So yours is still
Crossing
straight,
again.
That's good. We're still crossing.
Yeah.
Normally
Yeah,
the
same
wind's
type of
going.
motion.
Keeps going, like, all the way around, right?
Well, here's the funny thing: is only one of them is pointing behind you. That's where the graves are.
Bill. Bill.
You still have no motion.
Lisa, do you have any numbers? Lisa?
No.
Oh, that one started turning.
That's definitely not wind.
Because his cross like pretty quickly.
Yeah.
All
What do we
try
do
to
with-
straighten them back up again? And let's see if it goes into the same motion. If we get the exact same motion out of it, we'll probably have to put these ones away because it's way too windy. And we'll have to deal with, like, we'll bounce that set around. Open the rods if you're a female. We're going to switch it up to verify the motion of the rods. Open it if you're a female.
Wants to cross again.
If you're a female. if you're a female. It's definitely not the same motion we were getting before.
No.
You have crossed. Yours is saying male.
Is that you?
I'm trying to get them loose set. So
Yeah, they're a little.
put on my hands from moving.
Can you pick if you're a female?
Is it resting on your feet?
So we have
Yeah.
some definitive answers coming out of
Yes,
these.
you do. Over here.
But now you're
Hers
pointing
went from
straight at
cross
me
to
again.
open
I mean, they
over
are-
here.
We've got a female.
Female?
You have female?
Yeah,
Alright,
because it crossed and then it opened, so.
okay, let's get both sets of rods
They're
turned
crossing
straight.
again. Oh. Oh. Oh.
Ooh.
Wow. That was not wind.
Because it went in the opposite
Oh,
direction.
wait. This one's wait.
Let's get the rods pointed at me. Not the user. Whoever spirit is here with us. Let's get the rods pointed directly at me. Good. Get the rods pointed at me. So I was like, screw it, I'm going to point them. Okay, thank you for that. What question do we want to go with next? Are we convinced that we have a female or male? Because I'm not getting a clear answer, to be honest.
I would say
I think
female.
this is a female.
Yeah.
All right, and you had a direct answer to a female?
Female.
Okay, so we're going to go with female. If this is the same female that I spoke with last night, cross the rods. My name is Nick. We have a new batch of folks here with me. We have a definite crossover here. It's good. Cross the rods if
Ours
this
is
is the
crossed?
same female.
Yes.
If this is the same female I spoke with last night,
Oh, it's gonna come around.
It's crossed.
And it's gonna come around. She's wow.
okay.
Oh.
Okay, I'm convinced it's the same female I've been speaking with. So point the rods directly at me. Point the rods directly at me. Thank you. I could see you trying. Point the rods directly at me. Directly at me. You're
Hi.
close. At least they're linear.
A little bit more. Hi.
Yours are turning towards me too.
Hi.
Both of them.
That one is like, yeah, they're both.
You're doing great. You did it. You did it. You did it.
Thank you.
Oh.
All right, go ahead and straighten them up, guys.
You did
I
great.
mean, the users. Go
Yes,
ahead and straighten
Doreen needs a try. Doreen needs a try. You hold this for me.
It's okay. So we're going to go on to the next question. I want to verify the name of the person. So do we have them pointed straight at me? Good. I can see them. Okay, so we're both pointed straight.
Oh, we got a letter.
This is Mrs. Austin. Bina Austin. Open the rods. Bina Austin. Open the rods. What do you have?
No movement right now.
Open the rods if this is Bina Austin.
Maybe she likes Bill holding them.
The ladies too.
I heard you're right.
Did I not say that? Right?
What? Look,
They wide open?
it was like this one is being really active.
Okay, Mrs. Austin, can you point those rods directly at me again? Point the rods directly at me.
Cross
We're
them if you like
convinced it's
Bill holding them. Cross the rods if you like Bill holding them.
She's upset.
I think she
Let's
wants
stick
Bill
to
to.
one question. We have Mrs. Austin, please point the rods directly at me.
I'm doing what I can.
I'm doing what I can to that.
I understand completely. Point the rods directly at me. Try as hard as you can.
Oh, that was probably me.
Yeah, that's probably you. So I'm going to just straighten them up. So we can kind of get some clear answers again. Do you have them straight again yet? So we're just about there. we go. Thank you, Mrs. Austin. I am going to ask about your children, Mrs. Austin. Can you open the rods?
Oh, you gotta really. She's pointing toward the
Open the rods if you have children.
berry.
She pushed that one
Open the
around.
rods if you had children, Mrs. Austin.
She did that one.
Open the rods if you had children. Close if you
Oh,
did not.
God.
Oh my gosh.
Wide open?
Yeah.
Bleeding head. She's got a definitive close over here.
We have a wide open over
Yeah,
here.
I mean, you guys went. If she had children.
Maybe this one's a different person.
It's a possibility. Because again, we kind of had a mixed bag on male or female. You have a definite cross for no children. Alright, users, go ahead and straighten them back up again. Let's kind of clarify where Mrs. Austin is answering from. Mrs. Austin, please open the rods to the set that you're answering from. Open the rods where you are, Mrs. Austin. There are 2 sets of rods here.
That right one's moving.
You have a little bit of wavering. You have... Starting to move. Yep, there's your wide open. So Mrs. Austin is over here with you.
That's what we got to figure out. It's over here, right?
If I have a male with Doreen here, and the short rods, close the rods for a male. Close the rods if you're male. We're definitely not moving with the wind. There's our cross. Thank you. Can you straighten them back up now? I will definitely know. Thank you. Thank you. Now we know we have a male over here with Doreen
Oh my god.
and Mrs. Austin here with Victoria. What do you guys want to know now?
I feel really saddled.
If it comes too much, just let me
No,
know.
I'm just saying it feels
But it can. Just know that it possibly can take over. We mean no disrespect, but we're trying to learn who you are, as far as the male speaking through the short rods. If you can show your name through one of the electronic devices that we have. I know these boxes are strange and they have lights, but you can put your name on them, and that way we can learn who we're
See if
speaking
it comes up
to.
through there.
Do you have any numbers showing up?
Oh, no.
Getting letters. Lots of letters.
But they're
Random.
TXCBC.
But he did ask for a name, so it's like he's trying, right?
Mrs. Austin, open the rods.
He's
and
trying.
step into me.
Oh wow. Oh my goodness. He's trying.
Yeah, whoever it is over there.
He's trying.
What letters do you have again?
Random.
TXZBC GJKO.
Because we could have a set of initials in there too.
Oh, I got son. When you said, is there any
Oh, like
children?
S-O-N.
Son.
You got the word son, like
Yeah.
S-O-N?
Uh-huh.
Interesting. If the rods answered no, but your word list said son. Do you have any names
Wow.
that showed up in the
This
passage?
is the busiest this has been.
Yeah.
This is the busiest this
Is it
has
on
been.
top? What's it on top of?
Oh, my phone.
That would be why.
Oh.
Remember that it's picking up electrical pulses in the air, so your cell phone gives off electrical
Petty carrots.
pulses.
Oh,
And it said,
that's funny, Bill. I'm like, this is the busiest it's ever been. There you go.
Lisa, can you check for a Jonathan on that list?
Yeah.
And you haven't had
Oh,
any
yes,
motions
no.
since I haven't asked any questions, have you? Now what do you want to know? Is your name Jonathan? John Cooper?
John Allen, John Cooper, John Denton, John Essex, John Jackson.
That's a lot of Johns.
Yeah, there's a lot of Johns.
Let's start with Cooper. If your name is John Cooper, close the rods. That would be both of them. If your name is not John Cooper, open the rods. Close for John Cooper, open for not John Cooper. What do you have now? What was the question? We have a Lynn on that name.
Dawn, D-O-N.
We had Dawn show up here last night too. I don't know who that is. Very interesting. Anybody else want to try these rods before?
Wait,
Okay.
we got to figure out who this guy is.
We could be here all night, darling.
Okay. Okay. Then.
No, the wife needs to know what my face looks like today. All
Wait,
right,
ask another question at least.
you ask.
You asked
Yeah.
her.
Well, something like, how old was he when he died? Like,
No, it's gonna be yes or no, right?
That's a
Well, you
gotta
can
be a yes
still
or
go
no.
like if you were over 30,
Ooh.
Right.
open. If you were under 30, close.
Mm-hmm.
So you can play with the question. So what do you kind of like? Which way do you want to ask this?
don't you have to ask?
Well, letting you ask. We figured out already that we have two different people.
Were
That's
you
part of the reason
30
why I was
or
thinking.
under when you died? If so, cross.
You're under 30, cross the rods.
Over 30, stay open.
Like
So
that.
this one said he had children, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have 2 children? Cross the rods. If you had less than 2 children, open.
That right one's moving. Look at that right one.
We're
Wow.
both wavering.
Did I ask a confusing question?
I think so.
Little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Simplify it. If you had, how do we want to do this? If you had less than 5 children, close the rods. If you had more than 5 children, open the rods. See, definite opening.
All right, ask if he fought in battle. You're better at this than me.
You also have to remember that Quakers didn't believe in violence.
Oh,
We're in the Quaker.
but that doesn't
cemetery.
mean they didn't.
They wouldn't have fought. Like, just it's not in their wheelhouse. Like, from what I understand,
What's
like,
another good question to
fighting
ask
would
him?
not be a good.
But he's very anxious to answer.
I think you're very anxious to see an answer.
Look at him.
They're getting all kinds of answers. Were you married? Open the rods. If you were not married, close the rods.
That's a good question.
All right, ask a question so he has to close the rods. And then
Close
I'll
the
be
rods
done.
if you would like us to leave. We did that the other night, and we
Yeah,
got a
you did?
definitive.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's digging us.
He's all right with us. Close the rods if you don't mind us here.
the wind.
Yeah. See, you guys are getting better at this. See what's legit, no it's not. Straighten back.
Yeah.
Close the rods if you're okay with us being here.
I'm that right one. Go back. Oh.
That's a cross.
Yeah. Bye,
It's a close. I think that's
Bye,
a good
Greta. Bye, Greta.
It's like the ladies.
That's a good
We'll
one.
never leave you.
I'm gonna call my wife and bring them home to you.
Serena's still.
This is my new toy.
Oh, wait. Oh, that's a big cross.
Wow, when I said, okay,
Oh.
Go ahead and crack. You can crack them. Kind of shake them off a little bit. There you go.
you're not. All right.
Wait, wait. Are you doing that, Doreen?
Well,
It's from
they're
her
not
motion.
even.
I can see it.
Okay.
It's from her motion.
We don't
We
know.
don't really
That's
know.
okay with all of them being here.
Alright, we gotta ask it. Are you doing that, Dora?
Not, yes, right now.
Yes.
He's very excited for us to be here. I gotta tell you.
He likes the ladies.
Would you like to go drinking with me?
So, we are going to wrap this up, but one thing I did not tell you guys about this specific location is that the bodies that are here were interred, meaning they were once buried somewhere else. And that was over on King Street. And that is a parking garage now, and the reason why they were moved is because the city needed the land. So they moved their bodies here and put up that basically that slab
Do you
back
know
there.
this guy who was talking? If so, cross.
This guy.
You know Nick.
So
So
yeah.
they all buried over there where the slab.
Well, they would probably be
doesn't-
buried like close to the building. And again, that's a long list of names.
Yeah.
You know, somebody asked me, are they all buried on top of each other underneath one slab? I'm like, no, that's disrespectful. They would probably be further up.
Just in a row.
Why
Right?
did they do multiple slabs?
Woo!
Are you moving that, Dora?
He knows you.
Are you moving that?
Oh, look at my hands.
Well, it's funny if we got all the way over
That was
there.
a big move.
Yeah. Well, that particular parking garage is that way.
I don't know why they wouldn't do
So
multiple
If
that's
you
why I was
like
looking when you
Nick,
pointed that way.
open
I had
up.
to stop and remember, like, where is that original
Look at
garage?
Lisa.
There's a lot of names here.
Oh my God!
Nick, he likes
Nick, he likes you.
Yeah, this says like too.
Does it say like?
Uh-huh.
I asked if they like you,
They have the word
And
like.
this says like.
And they have the word like. And
Nick, he spun so hard. He had to like.
All the way around.
Because he knows the rules.
I'm a fun guy.
Why did we only have one little slab?
Couldn't tell you.
All these people. How many people do you think are buried here?
If I were to guess, because I haven't counted the names, I would say at least 35.